Hello. Ye old talking head once again. I'll get out of the rut eventually. Get outdoors with a handheld video cam. Up until now, though, this is the only one I know how to use, so you're stuck. How are you doing? Excuse me. How are you doing letting go of beliefs? How are you doing? You can tell when you read something or run into some information. You can judge by your emotional response how deep into certain beliefs you are. You'll either resist what's being said or not. Maybe you'll completely agree with it. How are you doing at stepping back from things, at letting go, at withdrawing from being so identified with anything material? The body, the mind, the world. How's that coming along? I know it helps me. And what we're doing really is we're unplugging from the mind, okay? Because this is a mind-created realm. It's based on thought. And so we have to work with that. That's what is for now. And we've been programmed into it. But, you know, when you contemplate the fact that all atoms are empty and everything's made out of atoms, that helps a lot. In my book, it does. I don't know about you. We'll all find those particular things that resonate, that really speak, that we can really get with, that are the right keys to unlock the next step. I'm with that program pretty much of letting go, backing off, and surrendering. And I find that that's the very entree into heart. You can't take mind in there with you. It doesn't fit, it doesn't work. You can see a thought from within heart, and you can reject it. Seeing it is not the problem. Going along with it where it wants to lead you is what takes you out. And so it's a self-teaching mechanism in a way. I mean, if you want to look at it like that, mechanism, oh my God, whatever. Okay, so how can a divine being be trapped? How is that possible? Is that possible? I asked you about beliefs because until you back off from belief that you're the body, the mind, or anything material, until you can deeply accept that you are divinity walking the earth, that you are a manifestation, a projection, if you will. Let's say your higher self is divine and this is a projection of that. I don't care how you want to put it together. It doesn't matter. What matters is what flows underneath. And we're energy beings, and we're watching the energy flow and finding that that comes closer to connecting us with reality and truth than does anything material. I am that on the one hand, I am not that on the other, and both are true simultaneously. Are you aware of that? If you are, chances are good you're in higher consciousness. Or 4D or heart, or I don't know how you want to put it. I mean, these things, they're just tools, they're just tricks. What matters is what lies underneath, to me, as I see it right now. Okay, so how can a divine being be trapped? To really meditate with this, of course you must be in heart, but you must also be aware of and have deeply accepted your divinity, not just with your mind. Mind acceptance isn't good enough. It's the start of it maybe, but it's not even necessary. Mind can reject all it wants. That doesn't matter. That doesn't stop you. You have a mind. It's not that you are the mind. You have a mind. And we're in process of taking control of that. Taming the alpha pet. So, how can a divine being be trapped? I'll tell you, I felt this so deeply this morning. The betrayal of it, the impossibility of it. That it took me outdoors to stand on the bare ground and to cry with it, to cry out with it. In my soul's protest. And I'm not so much seeking an answer. Answers come and go. You take the one that seems to fit everything best at the moment. But chances are very good when you rise up in consciousness, a level or two, whatever, that you'll see it differently. So, no sense being attached to how you see things. It'll change. What I was really after was fully reconnecting with my divinity. We've been cut off from that. And I think you can look at society and the way things go in it, and at all of the dastardly deeds of the dark forces here, all of the programming that's been done, and so on and so on and so on. And I think you can put it together and say, it's all one thing. It's not that we're not divine. See, that's what they want us to believe. That's what they need us to believe in order to be able to control and manipulate us. Because they know we're divine. But they've convinced us that we're not. And that puts them in charge. It's a manipulation of free will. We gave our power away. And their plan worked over many long centuries and millennia, incrementally. All of this happened. But it's so blatant now. And when you combine that with the fact that time is in some way coming to a close, there's something going on here. And the frequencies are rising. Look at the Schumann resonance that was so stable for so long that technology was built on that, remaining stable. Now it's changed. The Earth's magnetic field, for long time before we walked the Earth, was a lot more steady than it is now. It had periodic changes and flippings, but what's going on now may be different even than that. And the 23 or whatever it is degree tilt of the axis, that may be correcting itself. So there's a lot going on. The sun's magnetic field being down a lot. All of this coming together is helping us to rise up, to wake up, and to see a good bit. So how can a divine being be trapped? Can a divine being be trapped? When you look at the depth of the pain, not just this lifetime, folks, look back over many, many lifetimes. If you're in heart, you can plug into that, just the sense of it. You don't have to have specific memories. I mean, if you're drawn to Gothic romance books, chances are that's an indication you lived then. If you're drawn to any period in time for what, whatever reason you think it is, chances are you lived then. There's a you doing that, living that, being that. Thus the draw. So when we look at the long time we've been walking around here on the planet, largely buffaloed, deceived, controlled, manipulated, and cut off from our own inner divinity, our higher self, to a great extent. I mean, they can't cut that cord, or they would have, trust me. And besides which, they want that connection to still be there because that's our power. And they want to control it. And so that's what they're doing. But the time is over for that. And that's a fact. I don't know if time is coming to a stop, but that is over. Now, how did they get us there? It was done incrementally, as I said, but it was done by the manipulation of our free will. We gave our consent. If you don't give your power away, it can't be taken from you. And bit by bit, step by step, inch by inch, that's what was done. We were distracted here, there, and everywhere, and tricked and cheated, sure, but a part of what's going on now is it requires a taking of responsibility. We can't be the porcupine with fingers pointed every which way, fingers of blame and judgment. We have to step up and step into our own divinity, and that requires that there's a certain level of responsibility there for giving your power away. We all did it. Okay? No one's better than anyone else. This was just a part of the play. I'd like to share with you what came to me as I protested and emotionally stomped my foot and let in. See, your emotion is how you heal. If you're not willing to feel the feelings, well, then you're not willing to heal. And so, as I was in the midst of that, it came to me, how can a divine being be trapped? Well, it can't. What's happened instead is that they've come between us and our divinity. Just for the picture of it, imagine your higher self as a sun above your head. And it shines out every which way, but it's projecting a particular ray down to the earth that's manifesting as you, as your form and your body there. They've come in between. And they've diminished the ability of the sun to shine forth in its fullness to and through the you that walks the earth. So the divinity is intact. They've just put all kinds of things between us and God as self. I am that. Never forget this. Find your way into it. I am that. We all are. You've got to own your own divinity. You're not the big G. You know that. But your higher self there, maybe we can envision that as there's this great central sun somewhere that's all of its rays are the higher self of each one. I don't know. I haven't messed with that. I don't try to envision God with a capital G, source. I don't have a vision for that. I have what I find in the center of my chest as a connection to it, as a being. You forget words, okay? It's best not to try to put words around God. So, that being the case, something has come between us and higher self. We're creatures of free will, and we're still creatures of divinity. And we're in process of taking our free will back and making different choices, different decisions. And so we make the decision, reconnect me. I'm out of here. And that doesn't mean off the earth. That means out of the entrapment, out of the seeming to be entrapped. See, it happened because we believed in all of this bunk. We somehow accepted it over our many incarnations, many long lifetimes. I'll close with this. Or maybe I won't. Okay, so there I was standing out there, recognizing and realizing this. One other thing I'll share is that I wasn't willing to have any light being come to me and assist me. I didn't want that. I don't want anything but connection with my own higher self. And I recognize and realize that that means I'm rejecting some that are really light beings. Right now, I don't even want a spiritual guide, a guardian angel. I want nothing to do with any beings at all. I want myself back. Okay? That's all I care about right now, is my own higher self. And if I am divinity, I have no need of anything else. I am that in a way. Maybe all these other beings are just something I'm manifesting. I don't know. Right now, I don't care. I'm freaking tired of being messed with. Up to here with it. And so they're all rejected in my book. And I'll see how that goes, you know. I'll see how that goes for a while. I'm putting all of my eggs in this one basket, that I am divinity and that I am connected and reconnecting to that and clearing absolutely everything that's in the way of it. So that's my process. Okay, what I was going to share with you was something that Patricia Corey wrote on behalf of the Syrian High Council. And I still tend to feel good about her work, even though it's channeled. Go figure. And it's their explanation of things. Of how we were taken over. They tell of a time, we were never monkeys, my friends. They tell of a time and a divine experiment that brought together the genetics of 4 races. and created what was to be basically a God-man, a true divine being that would be physical, that would not only walk the earth, but be the actual guardian of 3D, be in charge of that. That was the design. And it went along fine, and more than fine, for a while, for some thousands of years, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, I don't know. I'm not good for details these days. Until along came an invading force that saw the planet, was attracted to it, and wanted to take it over. The beings that worked together, the light beings, were still working with us and did all that they could to prevent this takeover. There were actual wars fought. There were deaths on both sides. And it became a pitched battle that they eventually lost. And so I guess they weren't willing to do what would have been necessary to do. I don't know. How would I know? Anyway, so they placed their grid, the dark ones, around the earth. They stripped the DNA of the beings from 12 strands down to 2. And they did these various things to establish their hegemony, is that the word? Their control. And so the beings of light still worked very hard to get through to us, to those walking the earth. I mean, I think we've probably all been on both sides of this, so, you know, take whatever perspective you like. And they eventually found that they couldn't, and that when they were able to make a connection, who and what we were in this stripped down state didn't have enough light to sustain that connection, to make anything of what came over that light ray. And so it was a terrible thing. I mean, whoever was down here incarnate at the time got stuck. And so families were broken up, and for millions of years wouldn't get to see one another again during this cycle. But it is what it is. Even divine beings come face to face with this. What they say about it, you wonder, how could divine beings getting together, you know, real high density beings, and creating a third density being, if there's divinity at work here, how could it go wrong? Well, you know, this is the creation, and in the creation, everyone's learning. Everyone is. This applies to everyone. I got this from the Syrian High Council, this little saying that I say so often. I am a sovereign being, exercising free will. As I ascend the spiral of spirit, I intend that the higher purpose be served and that the light prevail. Covers the bases, doesn't it? And so they looked into themselves for what went wrong. How did we screw up? What did we do that it turned out like this? And what they discovered was ego and a certain arrogance. You know, time out. I'll get good with the details one day. Ring her off and bury the phone under a pillow, whatever. Okay, so what they found, according to the Patricia Corey work, was an arrogance in themselves and in what they were doing, thinking that they could create a being that started out at such a level of divinity without having earned it, so to speak, without having grown into it. And so they accepted that and went forward. Now, all of these efforts that were tried to get through to us, they were very creative ones. And there are many races of light beings working to come to our aid, come to the rescue. You know, they all had beings of their own that got trapped in this thing. And so, plus divinity just wanted to help. Okay. It was eventually recognized, and I believe it took a good long while, that the only way to make a difference, the only way to really get through, was to incarnate here. And so that's what we did. We took it on. We came in, and the dark ones couldn't tell us from the others. We took on the forgetfulness that's a part of incarnating on Earth right now. The disconnection factor. We trusted in our own internal divinity, our own connection to light to see us through. And so we walked a mile in our brother's moccasins, many a long mile. And we went through the pain of it and the agony as divine beings. And we all carry a boatload of pain. It's been, you don't have words for how big the challenges have been. It's just been that. Well, that's the way out, my friends. That's the string trail we've got to follow. So whatever you do, don't shut down your feelings. When pain comes up, follow it. If you can. I mean, you know, common sense is really good too. Depends on the situation you're in at the time. Whether you have the luxury of just doing like I did, going off outside somewhere and stomping your foot and crying and yelling and praying and demanding an answer. Why am I sharing this? I don't know. You know, that's just what my service is, to go through this with you publicly. Because as divine beings, we wake up quicker. Because we've already been here and done that. Been on the other side. We are that. A lot of us. And we're here to be the lightning rods. We're here to be the divine antenna. We're here to magnetize the intensity of the light that needs to enter this realm to convert it, reconvert it, to strip away the darkness. That's an overlay. It's only an overlay. That's all it can be. Just like with you, the only thing between you and your divinity is the overlay. You are that. So am I. So are we all. So a part of getting unstuck from the surface of things is getting into the bigger picture. And it hurts. Giving up beliefs is a painful thing. It doesn't have to be, but you know, it often is. And I can't explain why. I don't care. You know, the why of it, it comes when it does. It just doesn't matter. What matters is what is. And as long as we stick with what is, we're doing fine. To stay in the moment whenever we get off track, to come back to the moment that is. Not to be lost in mourning the past or in dreams of the future. But to be right here with what is right now. That's where our connection lies. So, be blessed. Namaste. Like that mechanism, oh my God, whatever. Okay, so how can a divine being be trapped? How is that possible? Is that possible? I asked you about beliefs because until you back off from belief that you're the body, the mind, or anything material, until you can deeply accept that you are divinity walking the earth, that you are a manifestation, a projection, if you will. Let's say your higher self is divine and this is a projection of that. I don't care how you want to put it together. It doesn't matter. What matters is what flows underneath. And we're energy beings, and we're watching the energy flow. Hello. Ye old talking head, once again. I'll get out of the rut eventually. Get outdoors with a handheld video cam. Up until now, though, this is the only one I know how to use, so you're stuck. How are you doing? Excuse me. How are you doing letting go of beliefs? How are you doing? You can tell when you read something or run into some information. You can judge by your emotional response how deep into, in my book it does. I don't know about you. We'll all find those particular things that resonate, that really speak, that we can really get with, that are the right keys to unlock the next step. I'm with that program pretty much of letting go, backing off, and surrendering. And I find that that's the very entree into heart. You can't take mind in there with you. It doesn't fit, it doesn't work. You can see a thought from within heart, and you can reject it. Seeing it is not the problem. Going along with it where it wants to lead you is what takes you out. And so it's a self-teaching mechanism in a way. I mean, if you want to look at it like certain beliefs you are. You'll either resist what's being said or not. Maybe you'll completely agree with it. How are you doing at stepping back from things, at letting go, at withdrawing from being so identified with anything material? The body, the mind, the world. How's that coming along? I know it helps me. And what we're doing really is we're unplugging from the mind, okay? Because this is a mind-created realm. It's based on thought. And so we have to work with that. That's what is for now. And we've been programmed into it But, you know, when you contemplate the fact that all atoms are empty and everything's made out of atoms, that helps a lot. And finding that that comes closer to connecting us with reality and truth than does anything material. I am that on the one hand, I am not that on the other, and both are true simultaneously. Are you aware of that? If you are, chances are good you're in higher consciousness. Or 4D or heart, or I don't know how you want to put it. I mean, these things, they're just tools, they're just tricks. What matters is what lies underneath, to me, as I see it right now. Okay, so how can a divine being be trapped? To really meditate with this, of course you must be in heart, but you must also be aware of and have deeply accepted your divinity, not just with your mind. Mind acceptance isn't good.